It starts the same way every time. Not loudly, not dramatically, just you wait for the right moment, for a better day, for a sign that now is the time to do something. But it never comes, does it? Because the moment you're waiting for doesn't exist. It's an illusion, comfortable, safe, familiar, created to soothe your conscience when you're doing nothing. Because if you tell yourself you're waiting for the right time, you can pretend that staying still is also a decision, that pausing is part of the plan. Except it's not. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're just scared. Because taking action means colliding with reality. And reality has no mercy. In your head, everything is still possible. Every scenario, every version of you, every success. But it only takes one step for the illusion to shatter. That's why you prefer to wait. Because as long as you don't start, anything can still happen. But once you begin, you might realize you're not as good as you thought. So you linger in that in-between, suspended between potential and failure, between hope and fear. Imagine two people, one the waiter, the other the doer. Both stand before the same door. Behind it, opportunity. The waiter analyzes. He wonders if the door is safe, if he should knock, if he's prepared enough to enter. What if disappointment waits on the other side? What if someone says, "You're not ready"? The doer doesn't analyze. He doesn't predict. He doesn't wait. He simply presses the handle. And that's enough to separate their worlds. Because the waiter believes he must understand first in order to act. The doer knows he must act in order to understand. The waiter says, "I don't want to make a mistake." The doer says, "A mistake is part of the process." The waiter seeks certainty. The doer chooses curiosity. And that changes everything. The waiter lives in eternal preparation, making plans, lists, strategies. He adjusts, refines, compares. In his head, he lives through 1,000 futures, and in each one, something goes wrong. So he waits a little longer, another moment, another day, another week. But that moment never ends. Psychology calls this behavioral freeze, a state where fear of movement becomes your home. Your brain has learned that stillness means safety, that by risking nothing, you lose nothing. But that's a lie, because when you risk nothing, you lose everything. Bit by bit, yourself, time, your belief that you can still change. Waiting isn't patience. Waiting is punishment disguised as protection. It's the belief that maybe one day it'll get easier, that tomorrow you'll feel braver, that the world will calm down and finally let you move. But the world will never stop testing you, and fear will never disappear. Because fear isn't the obstacle. Fear is the companion. It walks beside you every time you do something that matters. A doer isn't someone who isn't afraid. It's someone who acts despite fear, despite trembling hands, despite chaos in the mind, despite uncertainty. It's someone who says, "I don't know if I can do it, but I'll try," because courage doesn't come before action. Courage appears during it. You know that moment when you rewind your life in your mind? You see all the times you could have, but didn't. Moments that slipped through your fingers because you were waiting for a better time. But there are no better times, only moments that have passed. Waiting is the accumulation of regret in shades of gray. Action is living in color, even if sometimes that color is pain. Waiting feels safe, but it's what quietly destroys you. Every day you do nothing is a day your faith in yourself fades. You start to believe that the place you're stuck in is your home. That stagnation is your nature, but it's not. It's just habit. Habit of silence, of no risk, of pretending that calmness means happiness. But calm without purpose is lifelessness. The doer understands something the waiter doesn't. That movement itself has value. That every decision, even a wrong one, pushes you closer to life. And every decision left unmade pulls you further away from yourself. Because a decision is an act of courage, a declaration, "I am here." There is nothing more human than action. It's what separates the dreamer from the creator. It's what gives meaning to the chaos. The waiter says, just a bit longer. Not yet, the doer says, I'll start before I'm ready. The waiter waits for the world to give him a sign. The doer becomes the sign. The waiter seeks understanding. The doer trusts experience. Because knowledge doesn't give courage, only practice does. Most people never begin, not because they can't, but because they're afraid of looking foolish before they look skilled, afraid of judgment, of rejection, of failure, but action always looks foolish before it looks brilliant. Every master once started clumsily. Every winner was once terrified. Every brave person once trembled. The difference? They didn't wait for fear to go away. Waiting is a comfortable form of self-sabotage. You feel productive because you plan, analyze, think, but the truth is you're just delaying the confrontation. Because until you start, nothing is real. You can't learn to swim by standing on the shore. You can't learn to live by thinking about life. You have to step into the water, even if it's cold, even if you don't know if you'll make it. Waiting makes life pass you by. Slowly, quietly, like a movie where you're not the main character. Action pulls you onto the stage, and even if you forget your lines, at least you're part of the play. Because it's not perfection that leaves a mark, it's presence. Waiting is a waking dream. Action is awakening. And one day you'll realize that no one is coming to save you. No one will say, you can go now. Because you are the person you've been waiting for. Not the world, not others, you. And until you understand that, you'll keep circling the same door, analyzing it, never opening it. But if you ever dare to press the handle, you'll see the world was never locked. You were. Because life doesn't happen when you're ready. Life happens when you move. When you take a step into uncertainty. When your hands tremble but you reach anyway. When fear tries to stop you but you push forward anyway. Stop waiting for a perfect alignment of stars, for signs painted in the sky, for a moment when everything falls neatly into place. Because the world doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for hesitation. It doesn't honor comfort. It doesn't respect fear. The right moment is not hidden in tomorrow. It is carved out of today, built from action, forged in the heat of decision. It is the moment you choose to rise, even when your knees shake, even when doubt screams louder than hope. Every heartbeat is a reminder. Time will not stop. Every sunrise whispers, opportunity is fleeting. And every failure is a teacher, a guide showing the cost of hesitation, a map to the strength you never knew you had. So the question is, will you keep waiting, letting your life pass in shadow and silence? Or will you finally move, step into the unknown, embrace the risk, and find that the world you longed for was always just beyond the edge of your fear? Because action is freedom, movement is courage, and the door has been open all along, and you just needed to reach out and turn the handle. So stand up, step forward, make a choice, and when the world watches, watch back with the knowledge that you finally decided to live.